Hello everyone, welcome to Rising Star Tarot. My name is Ruth. So today we are learning about the Emperor. So the Emperor is divine masculine energy, and the Emperor and the Empress are like the 3D earthly version of divine masculine and feminine energy, whereas the High Priestess and the Hierophant are more of the 5D spiritual version of divine masculine and divine feminine energy. So, what happens when an emperor and an empress get together? They create life. We all know how babies are made, right? But it doesn't just have to be in that form. But a creation happens when divine masculine and divine feminine energies come together. Divine masculine has the inspiration, the idea, the logic, and the divine feminine is more introverted and feels her way through things and nurtures the life that is created between the two of them. So on the Emperor, we have the number 4, and 4s in numerology represent stability. It can be home life, 4 walls, practicality, security, earthly endeavors, and even reaching a milestone. So when a house is finished with its 4 walls, a milestone has been reached, something has been achieved, something has been built here, and it's stable. An example. No, I'm not going to use that example because now I don't know how to describe it. All right, so the Emperor is Aries energy, Mars energy. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, a cardinal sign, the beginner of all things. Aries is great at beginning things, not so great as carrying it through. That's where Empress energy comes in and can carry something through and can nurture its growth. He is seen as the father, an authoritative figure, a boss, a leader, a good leader. There's differences in leaders. You know, you can be a good leader or not a good leader, but this is a very solid, wise leader. As an archetype, I like to think of him as King Solomon in the Bible. King Solomon was thought to be the wisest king. He made very sound decisions, and there's actually a story in the Bible of King Solomon where 2 women come to him. What happened was they both had a child, they both had a baby, and they lived in the same house. Well, in the middle of the night, one of them rolled over and smothered her baby. And so she went and took the other woman's baby and tried to pretend like it was like she traded the babies, but the other woman knew that that wasn't her baby. So the 2 women go to King Solomon, and they're both complaining, "This is my baby. She's the liar. She's the liar." And so, in his infinite wisdom, he decided, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll cut the baby in half. Each woman gets half the baby. Everybody's happy, right? And so the woman who was the actual mother said, no, never mind, it's fine. She can have the baby. Please don't cut the baby in half. And the other woman was okay with it. So he could discern through that who was the true mother of the child. But the Emperor is very wise. He makes solid decisions from a place of wisdom. He has these mountains in the background. Mountains in tarot signify wisdom. We have the Hermit walking into the mountains to find inner wisdom. In the 8 of Cups, that person is walking away from something and into the mountains to reflect, to find their own inner wisdom. And even in the Fool, we have the mountains in the background, which is the wisdom that he will achieve throughout his Fool's journey. There's a lot of red and orange on this card. So red represents the root chakra. It represents security, power. And then orange is the sacral chakra of creation. So the Emperor has the seed that he gives to the Empress, which she then, he plants it within the Empress, and then the Empress nurtures it into growth. So one way to think about that is how life is created, but it can be anything. The divine masculine has the inspired idea. The divine feminine uses that to create something out of it. Also, his white beard can signify his wisdom. He's sitting on a stone throne, so he's very solid. He has these ram heads on his throne, which represent Aries. Aries is the ram. Aries can be kind of a stubborn sign, but also just very determined, more determined than stubborn, determined to make something happen, determined to start something, to begin something, to lead something. On his crown, he has these white and red jewels in his crown, which again represent his pure intentions. As in the magician, we have the red and white flowers. So pure intentions, and then the power to carry something through with this red energy. In one hand, he holds the Ankh, which is an Egyptian symbol. In his right hand there, he holds the Ankh. And that represents life, the seed of life. What exactly does it represent? One sec, guys. The symbol of life. I don't know where seed came from. The symbol of life. And then his other hand, it's probably kind of hard to see from this picture, but he holds an orb, and the orb represents the world over which he rules. So that doesn't have to be the whole world. It can just be his personal world, right? Even just his home, the world over which he rules. And then you can see peeking through, he is wearing steel armor there, steel or iron, and iron is the metal of Aries. The red robe signifies his power and his regality. I don't know if that's the word, but the power that he holds and the ability to make things happen. All right. Oh, and then there is a little stream here at the bottom of just a little stream of water. So we saw a waterfall last week in the Empress. This stream indicates that the Emperor does have emotions, but his emotions are not easily seen. He does hide his emotions. He doesn't show them as much as the Empress would. The Empress is more intuitive, more internal, more emotional, whereas the Emperor is more exterior, and he presents himself as a powerful, authoritative figure. All right. But he does still show emotions. That's important to remember with divine masculine energy. Unhealed masculine energy does not know how to handle emotions, but divine masculine energy controls their emotions, but yet still shows them. All right, let's see if I missed anything there. That looks good. Give me a sec here, guys. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. That's the thing that I was like, wait a second, I have to think about why I wrote that down. All right, so it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. There's a lot of Christian symbolism in that's intertwined into other spiritual beliefs. And also like Judaism, Kabbalism, it's all intertwined together. It all kind of runs together, comes back to each other. So in the fourth day in the Bible, or the Torah in Genesis, God made the luminaries to determine the days, months, and seasons. So he added into the sky the planets, which are the planets that we use for divination and astrology, but also, the planets and the constellations. So all the luminaries, the stars and the planets. And so we determine time by the luminaries. So the sun is a day. The sun tells us when it's a new day. The moon is about a month. So the moon tells us when it's a new month. Each one has its own cycle. And then depending on where the stars are in the sky, it tells us what time of the year it is, what the seasons are. So the Emperor kind of determines the seasons, and there are 4 seasons. He is the number 4, and he is the beginner of the seasons as well, the beginner of the entire zodiac. All right. All right, so in a reading, who is the Emperor? What does the Emperor signify to you? It can be a boss, a leader, a politician, a law enforcement officer, a father. Anybody with power, the Emperor can signify. And then also it can be a divine masculine counterpart, especially if you have the Empress coming out, or it can just represent divine masculine energy within yourself. It can be telling you to begin a project or talking about a project that you're beginning. And it's about making a decision, making a move, making the right decision, making the right move. And this is a very high vibrational energy. So, like, you could think of it as the Emperor has grown up from the Page of Wands to the Knight of Wands to the King of Wands to the Emperor. He has gone through all of these processes. He is well aged. He has gained a lot of wisdom and learning throughout this process, and now he has become a high vibrational person here. Also, he can be a teacher. Some people also associate Taurus with the Emperor, so it can be Aries and Taurus energy here. All right, so I'm going to show you some of the other Emperor cards. This one's a good example. That's from the Gregory Scott Tarot deck. So on his sleeves, he has the Aries symbol on one sleeve and the Taurus symbol on the other sleeve. You can see that he looks very powerful, very stable with how he's holding his hand up onto the wall. He's stabilizing himself. And we have a lot of orange and red in that card too, which are Mars colors. I love this Emperor. I think the Light Seer's Emperor is my favorite. You can see he has the ram head in the background there. He's sitting on Mars, and then his Mars, it looks like it's on top of a chessboard, and then he holds the chess piece. So he's thinking very carefully before he makes his next move. Very unlike our Page of Wands or our Knight of Wands, who are just going for something impulsively. He's learned that impulsively doesn't always work for him. This is a really cool Emperor from the Ostara deck. He's more of like a shaman or like a tribal leader here. Also somebody who's gained a lot of wisdom, and a lot of his wisdom has come through spiritual knowledge. All right, and then we have the Hermetic Emperor. And if you can see in the top, I guess it would be right-hand corner there, or left-hand corner for you. I don't know. I can't do cameras. There is the letter He. So that's the 5th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And He represents divine breath. So again, in the Bible, God breathes life. Life is created through God's breath. And I was actually going to look up the abracadabra meaning before I started this video, but abracadabra is a very ancient word. I don't think that it's even known the actual origin of abracadabra, but we've heard it a lot, like magicians on cartoons or TV shows or whatever. They say abracadabra when they perform magic. But abracadabra literally means I speak into existence. And so the Emperor teaches us that we are creating our reality by what we're speaking into it. So if we're saying, oh, I'm never going to get that job, you're never going to get that job because you just spoke it into existence. But also you can turn the tables and you can say something very positive, like I am going to be a millionaire, and eventually you will be a millionaire. If you believe what you're saying, that's how we speak something into existence. And that's really kind of like the beginning of magic, and using magic is speaking something. That's how we manifest. We speak it into existence. And when you're trying to manifest, it helps to actually say something out loud. Speak it into the universe. Allow the universe to hear you, and then give that back to you. All right. Another thing that I found really interesting about He is that when you add He at the end of a noun, it feminizes it. So when it feminizes it, it makes it into a fruitful thing. So when you add the Emperor to the Empress, this growth, this creation comes about, whatever that growth and creation is. I was going to study this card a little bit more before I started this video, and then I forgot that I was planning on doing that. But I am noticing a bee on here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on my camera. Bees symbolize eternal unconditional love. So that could symbolize his love for the Empress, or the connection between the Emperor and the Empress, the need for each other, the symbiotic relationship, the powerful partnership that happens when an Emperor and an Empress come together. And then it looks like his scepter here is actually a lotus, if you can see it. If you don't have the Hermetic deck, I mean, you'll learn a lot about tarot with the Hermetic deck because there is so much symbolism in each card. Like it's just chock full of symbolism. And the book that comes with it is pretty decent on explaining it. It's a little bit older, so in, I don't want to say 100 years old, but maybe about 100 years old. I don't know how old it is off the top of my head right now. The lotus is a beautiful flower that grows up out of the mud and the murk. It begins in the mud and then it comes up. It grows out of the water. It comes up out of the water and becomes a beautiful flower. So it's very symbolic. You'll see it a lot in spiritual art. And then obviously each chakra represents, well, I don't know if each chakra represents a lotus. Maybe they do. Don't quote me on anything I'm saying here, apparently. I feel like it's the seventh, the crown chakra, that represents the 1,000-petaled lotus. But I want to say that they all represent a lotus in some form. In that belief system, which I can't think of the name right now, like the Indian belief system, you'll see the lotus a lot. It's very common. Or in like Buddhism, meditation, things like that. I think my yoga mat even has a lotus on it. Anyhow, this isn't a video about lotuses, but I hope that was helpful to you. Let me know if you learned anything or what additional information that you have on the Emperor, because there's always more to be learned in every tarot card, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Have a great day. Thanks, guys.